All right, guys, we're starting the year off big. 1,200 horsepower. Every dollar you spend at lsnasty.com will get you entered to win. .1,200 horsepower turbo Trans Am, 91mm turbo, 388 cubic inch LS on Holley EFI, built 400, built rear end, Viking suspension. This thing is a true muffin cap peeler. All right, y'all, Crispy Chicken giveaway is live over at lsnasty.com. Every dollar you spend will get you entered to win. We got a brand spanking new Slick Rick shirt. My new favorite. Look at how good that shirt looks. You guys can get this, cop it right now, lsnasty.com. And we got a bunch of other merchandise. This is just a few options that we have on the website. And like I said, every dollar you spend gets you entered to win this 1,200 horsepower beast. All right, guys, we are talking about the Black Sheep, everyone's favorite G-body that is now falling apart. We had the tire shake incident. Literally, this whole thing is falling apart. So we're doing some updates to the Black Sheep, in and out. First of all, we're gonna remount the front end. Kind of messed up the bumper on it as well. That was a transport issue, so that sucks. The doors are about falling off. The window trim was falling off. Well, it did fall off. Shout out to Ron Bailey, Big Worm Racing. He actually hooked us up with a new true Grand National window trim. So we're gonna piece this thing back together, and then we have to address the problem at hand, which was the torque converter. We made a tire change from a 275 to a 295, and that changed the overall height. So we went from a 28-inch tall to a 30-inch tall. I didn't think it was gonna make that big of a change. I was like, oh, we'll go out there and just run it on the exact same setup and see how it goes, and it was not happy. A couple people in the comments were like, hey man, I could hear the motor laying over. All right, we're gonna play a quick clip here of the Black Sheep making a pass. If you watch the shifter and listen to the RPM drop, there is none, and also how high the converter flashes, you can instantly tell there's something not spec'd correctly. So this is a very good example of just blowing right through the converter. Man, you know, it's just not running good. John, you built the motor, what's going on? I'm here to answer all the questions. For one, I did build the motor, and this thing is running like a top, runs great, sounds great, oil pressure's great, has no issues. The main issues are with the rear gear ratio and the converter. The converter is pissed, it is not happy. I did put a clip up there on the big end when you look at it, and there's literally smoke just rolling off the torque converter. That's usually not good. You are baking that thing. Like, you might have to lay it down sideways to like get up under there. Wait, hold on, let me see this. There's the converter. Yeah, literally, it's smoking. As far as the transmission goes, the transmission's fine. If the torque converter's super hot, that doesn't necessarily mean that the transmission fluid in the transmission is hot. We would plug it up, it'd only be about 180 degrees, which is, I'd say, pretty normal for that. So we want to go faster. We want 420s at 172 miles an hour, which is like the slowest we've gone in quite some time. And that was because the torque converter was slipping. You were blowing through the converter. That came from the larger tire paired with the long gear ratio. It just put way too much load on the converter, and it could not couple. So I know this is an automatic transmission, but for, I guess, conversation piece, we'll consider the converter like a clutch. And you want to limit the slip out the back. You want, like, a clutch locked up would be like direct drive, would be like 0% slip. If your clutch is slipping, you guys obviously know that you were going slower. A good torque converter, if you can get your slip, a good non-lockup torque converter, if you can get your converter slip going through the stripe at about like 5% or lower, you're quite efficient. Not a lot of powertrain loss. You're putting a lot of the power that the motor's taking to the ground. We were at about 33% slip, so It's like riding around with the clutch pushed a third of the way in. Like, you're literally, the motor's going faster than the output of the transmission. It just cannot generate the power to go through the converter. We need to change the torque converter, and we're going over to a Circle D, which I'm very excited about. So we'll go over here. I'm going to bring it back the whiteboard, and we're going to talk about how you can just look at it just by looking at your data log and know, like, hey, my converter's smoked. Also, making a big change over to Pete at Circle D. All right, so here's your screen. This is your data log, right? You got your RPM here. This is really like the main thing that you can look at. If you're really trying to calculate converter slip, you need to look at like RPM and drive shaft speed. But quick glance at the RPM, right? If it does this and you bang your shift right here, it's second gear, there's 0 RPM drop, you probably have something wrong. That's what we were doing. So ideally, right, in a perfect world, right, let's just say maybe the converter's a hair tight, you're up here on the chip, like 4,200 RPMs, right, or let's call it 4,400. We're feeling pretty spicy, the track's good, right? You click the button, it's going to flash up, and then it's going to start to roll over. If the converter's quite tight, you might even get a little dip, right? See how it falls down, you get a little dip there, and the RPM comes back up, and like you're at here 8,200, you bang the shift, boom, like 200 RPM drop, not to scale, but there's 200 RPMs, minus 200 RPM, and then you keep going, right? This is, we're looking like ideal. Converter might be a hair tight right here, but you could always put more power in it. This right here is where you're making up you're hauling all your ass right here to the 330. You want to be cramming as much power in there as you can. See how the converter comes up and it rolls over? This is the converter locking. This is very important. If you have an absolute trash converter, right, which sometimes like converters are good, they're just spec'd wrong, so it's not trash, but like they become trash when they're spec'd wrong, like what we have in there. So we're up here, 4,400 RPM, feeling real spicy on the big tire. We click the button, and this son of a gun goes straight up to 8,000 RPMs, okay? And then it hangs there at 8,000 where the converter is trying to couple, but it just can't couple enough. And then you're just riding like 8,000 the whole way. And then you bang the air shifter, right, at 8,000, but now it's just going off time because you have to have a couple different things in there just in case, like you don't want to shift early, right? So it bangs second gear, and literally 0 RPM drop all the way out the back. You're making an ass load of steam, you're making an ass load of power, but your mile an hour is like this. It's just falling off because the converter cannot get the damn car moving. So this is how you know your converter stuff's way wrong. There's a million different ways that your converter be spec'd wrong. We talked about stators, which here, let's go take a look at the stator right here. You can't just call up any random company and get a stator. The stators are specific. There's a couple factors that are going to decide on like how tight the converter is and everything. Obviously the overall size. We're going with a 264 millimeter core for the Black Sheep with an 1 3/16" input shaft. So not a turbo 400 sized input. Did I just hit him with like the gwitty?
Buddy is literally gwitting on the frozen wake.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not
the gritty?
I'm not, yeah.
Oh, with a W.
Yeah, you didn't seen the TikToks?
I have, but what are you talking about? What, you said that?
I hit him with a good old speech impediment.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
You could do so. You want.
The size of the torque converter will change what stator you got to run. We're going with a 264 millimeter, as Pete from Circle D said. That's like the Billy Badass converter, and everything that Pete has said converter wise and transmission wise or any recommendations for our program has been spot on. So we're excited to go really fast with the guys from Circle D and Pete over there. But the stator, you got your blade number and your blade angle. This one is, I believe, a 1635, so 16 blades, 35 degrees of angle. My recommendation is buy a billet bolt together converter. It might be a little more expensive up front. Buy once, cry once. You need a converter change, you don't have to send your converter off. Get your stator, swap it in there, the converter acts completely different. So you can really get your converter dialed in to be as efficient as possible. I see a lot of guys out there that they have like very nice engine combos, they can make a ton of power, but they can't get down track or they can't just produce the numbers that they want. A lot of times the converter can cause the issue. Also, if the converter is way too tight, it can make it very hard to get off the start line. So there's a number of factors that go into this. You guys saw it firsthand. Just the change of a tire size on the Black Sheep made the converter practically useless, where it just would not go faster. We left on 35 pounds of boost, we left on 10 pounds of boost. It would not go faster than 107 60 foot. So it's very important to get your converter setup, configuration, and everything right. So we're very excited to work with Pete and the guys over at Circle D. They make an absolutely top quality product. We've gone fast with their converters already. Spot on out the box. Hank, I put a actually weld together converter, and Pete nailed it right out the box, and we've been going really fast with that. We've got, I think, 4 or 5 of their converters here already. Super impressed with their quality, super impressed with their customer support and their timelines as well. So highly recommend Pete and the guys over at Circle D for your converters. This is not a paid advertisement by any means. I'm just telling you guys, like, the black sheep was sucking ass, and now it's not going to be. It's actually going to go from sucking ass to whooping ass. That's where we're going with it. So there's your little converter talk. Comment down below what you guys think. What's your strategy converter-wise? Like, what do you guys use? Who do you like? Do you guys like using PTC? Do you guys like using M&M? This one here is an M&M lockup. So we've been working on this guy here. We got some stators, and we're going to get this thing in Slick Rick and be ready to roll. So comment down below what you guys like, what you guys use, and you guys are going to see us getting that converter out. I actually have some converters for sale if you guys are interested. I'm going to be selling the converter out of the black sheep, which is a 10-inch maybe. I think it's a 10-inch Pro Torque EV1. I got 3 stators to come with it, like a 1535, like a 1632 and a half, and a 1730. Maybe the numbers aren't all correct, but I have a number of converters. It works really good with like a 2,500 horsepower car at 2,700 pounds on a 28 with a 370 rear gear. That's that setup over there. I have a brand new, this is a smoking deal of a lifetime, which I'm going to sell you guys right now. Literally brand spanking new. This was for the black sheep, but we are not running it. Never used. As you can tell, it rode in a box in the trailer for quite some time. We just never ended up having it in the car. And yeah, so you guys can get this one here. I'll sell this for $1,600. The Pro Torque EV1 I'll sell for $1,400. So I mean, hell, a Mickey lockup converter is like, I think, $7 grand. A normal converter is like $4, and I'm selling 2 for like one for $1,600 and one for $1,200. So the big thing is they're inch and 3/16 inputs. So if you have a standard 400 input, they will not work with your stuff. So if you guys are interested in these, hit me up. Let me know. You might see them on Turbo Bull if you guys don't reach out. And there's your converter talk for the day. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. Hope you guys are going over to lsnasty.com picking up merchandise to win a 1,200 horsepower Trans Am.